By the way, that's a beautiful watch.
So
You
that's
gotta come
so,
close and see. Daniel, come here. You got to see this.
they made only 30 of those.
Okay.
It's a $380,000 watch. And obviously what you're paying for is the complication. Not only does it chime out the time, it also actually animates on the screen. And Jackie Martz, quick side story, goes back, literally means guys ringing bells. So think about medieval times when either you wanted to tell people what time it was, or you wanted to warn them of a fire or anything like that. That's why it's called Jackie Martz. Although there's another theory that in 1905, some monks wrote a book that talked about Jackie Martz, a guy named Jackie Martz, who invented the automation of the clocks actually striking bells automatically on top of the towers. But there's always a story behind this stuff. So you go to a brand like...
not Rolex, not Patek, not Omega.
You go to a brand like Ulysse Nardin. Now, mind you, they've been around since 1846. They made their money in marine chronometers. In fact, they were so good that the English Navy ditched their marine chronometers and they were able to use theirs, that they sold them throughout the time. The U.S. Army, same thing. They used chronometers at sea because back then, you needed to know where you are at sea, right? And what you needed to know is the difference of time that has passed since you left the port of entry so you can calculate where you actually are, right? So they made their big name. They've been around since 1846 continuously. This is a brand with a ton of history. So this is a brand that would actually value somebody like you. Remember, Patek, Rolex, some of these brands, they'll have their noses up in the air. Omega is owned by a big group, right? It's the Swatch Group.
How about AP or VC or those guys?
AP is also going to be very difficult. A lot of these companies, the industry that you're going into, they have their noses up in the air and they think about how is it going to affect us and what is that going to start. If BBD wants to have a watch made, then the next guy is going to want to have a watch made. What they do instead is they take on ambassadors, they make limited editions for them, right? So Jay-Z was an ambassador for AP. LeBron was an ambassador for AP. John Mayer's an ambassador for AP, right? They either make a limited edition or they'll make a run that is designed by the person.
If they do a limited edition of 30, they're not giving Jay-Z the 30 to do. They're giving one to Jay-Z.
That was a big thing, by the way. Francois, the ex-CEO of Audemars Piguet, he came to the Swiss and said, "Hey, I want to use this hip-hop artist as an ambassador." And they all flipped out. What are you talking about? World of hip-hop, AP, where this... Because remember, these are all suit-wearing, white glove, very conservative people. They only allowed him to create... They did 10 pieces in platinum. They did 50 pieces in rose, and they did 80 pieces in stainless steel. And they only allowed him to sell it in America.